Hey folks, Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get into tonight's likely interesting program, I've got to thank a few folks. First and foremost, I need to put a shout out to indiecd.org. They sponsor my StreamYard subscription, and it is a place where I am proud to be a member. Indiecd.org is your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, musicians, editors, flatters. Basically, if you're doing a project and you need support, get into it and get into it there. If you are looking to get a base online for your business presence, pardon me, I'll explain what's going on with my rather stumbling speech in a moment. You can find more over there at indiecd.org. Because for a one-time fee of $20, you'll have a website, access potentially to blogs, and connections with a whole community of like-minded creators who will be there to help you make whatever you're doing happen. It's just a great thing to be part of, and I'm proud to be sponsored by it. We're also made possible by sales of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, my ongoing series of manuals for the modern sword person. So if you want to go from I've never held a weapon to being able to use it with proficiency, that's a great way to do it. We're also, while it's off topic, made possible by Through the Thinning Veil, my anthology of short stories, 7 short stories to chill your spines. That's available on Amazon. But the real heroes, folks, the real heroes are the good folks over at Patreon, the Historical Fencing Guild Patreon, who for as little as $1 a day help me keep $1 a day. I'll take $1 a day. $1 a month help me keep the lights on around here and keep gear to review and trade, point out what's good, what's bad. I spend my money so you don't have to, and that I outfit people very often who otherwise couldn't afford it. So if that's something you're interested in being about, and we want to be able to influence what we talk about here, and join the ranks of Off in the Woods, Frog G, Ronald Rain, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Sidney Kep, Steve Augusto, and a few other good folks, because there are some folks who support me anonymously. Please consider joining our humble ranks. That being said, let me go into the chat. Alrighty. We've got that on, and I'm muting that. Hi, guys. Be sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal. I'm going to ask for your patience and tolerance tonight because I am actually remarkably sick. I have a fairly high fever, and basically my sinuses are trying to go to war with the rest of my face. So I will do my best to make this stream work. It's just going to be a bit of a challenge, and that's what we're going to talk about. It is October. That means it's time to start thinking about what we're going to do to adjust our training regimens over. Now, I do mostly indoor training and mostly indoor practice with myself using different tools, and I've gone over them in the past, but it's always a good idea to keep them handy in mind, and from there we can build up and really prepare so that we don't go too fallow during the winter. Now, it's really important to maintain what you can whenever you can, even in times like this of illness. One moment, please. Oh, God. Wait, mute that so you don't hear this part. There we go. Sorry about that. As I said, I am quite ill, but we are doing the show anyway because that's how I roll. A lot of times people kind of poke fun at me for my tendency to favor shorter weapons until this time of year runs around. Making sure that you have light or relatively low-cost trainers that you can use in your home or garage or whatever environment during inclement weather is really going to help you maintain your form over the coming weeks of winter and give you that edge in the spring and early summer where the rest of the people are building up from a point of sedation and you're building up from, wow, I couldn't do as much because of the weather. I do have some favorites. A couple are available and handy. Now, this is not a standard version because I am modifying the hilt to fit my personal needs. And when I had to wear the braces and I could not properly grip, I cut the rope off. But this is the D-Guard Bowie. It was put out by our good friends at PHA. And this is a great weapon because this hits a lot of the sweet points that I like in a trainer. And that's why I want to talk about it tonight for winter. First off, this is roughly in the realm of length of many of the machetes you may encounter. The D-Guard configuration is a very common style of weapon. And once you cut the, if you elect to cut the paracord wrapping off, like I did, you can modify this guard this grip fairly easily to better simulate the machetes you may have. While not, perfect, it's fairly suitable for Wing Chun butterfly use. But it's a great tool. It's relatively light, but the relative shortness, again, this fits the sweet spot of a weapon that's a short sword for me. I'll say it's got a 20-inch blade. Means that you're less likely to hit the ceilings when you're going through your drills. This is one of those where this was a big contender for the, if I had to pick one sword to train people with, this is actually way up there for practical short sword use anyway. And I do favor short swords. These would be a dream to dual wield. Again, lightweight, easy to use. You want to remember the length so you can do your drills without hitting things. So I could go through the 4 offline guards very easily. And I'm cheating right now because due to being sick, my hands are swelling. It's a side effect. So I'm using this as a keyhole grip to give me more positive grip. I can have a different kind of grip here, but right now I have the advantage. I might as well use it. I would not fight with this way, but it's keeping it steady. So you want to pick a weapon, again, that fits what you're going to use and that you can drill with. Is this as good if you are a two-handed sword fighter? No. But if you are keeping your one-handed up, these or 2 of these could be really a great thing, and they're at that sub $50 line or right around it with shipping. Someday, I'm going to find a reason to go to Dallas, Texas, and I'm just going to pick up a bunch of different trainers from Christian, when he's either at a Ren Fair or just go to his shop and be like, hi, I need to buy lots. Can I commission stuff? That way I can work around having to deal with shipping and handling and just knock stuff out. But these are really great. Now, I do use the polypropylene sabers. Personally, I have 2 of them. The Wolf sabers, I believe, are what they've been redubbed. Which are very Germanic swords, ironically, in the way they feel and function, even though they're modeled after what is it? The Near Eastern weapons more. They are, often called scimitars. Those are what I'm drilling with because the weight and grip is just right to keep my me having response from the reps of the motions to the going through the forms. It's a good length. It just works very well. These guys, what I like about these guys are hand protection is vital, especially for musicians and artists. If you are an artist, if you are a musician, if you are both, and you do swordsmanship, you need to think beyond preference and think stability. That means you're going to want, if you are fencing, you want something that provides excellent hand protection. This was my personal rapier. It is my personal rapier. I just have to do, it needs a full rework, and I haven't been up to it yet. I also have been putting it off because it's the weight right now, as I've been doing my recovery from the days of squeezing the sponge to drilling, this is still right on the end of the weight that I can handle. So I've been putting off restoring this until such time as I can properly wield it. But that day is getting very close because it's been a while since I picked it up. But as an artist and a fencer, this gives a lot of coverage and a lot of protection for my hand for a lighter fencing style. You want to keep that in mind. You also, whenever you're looking at trainers, for going over the winter, or you're going now, I am sorry that you can't buy this exact model. This was made by someone, and then it was modified in part by John Miner to make it lighter and even easier for me. And when I clear it up, I will be doing some minor mods. I need to replace the Ricasso piece in the middle. I really want to polish this up, get it shining. But it is a beautiful, beautiful tool. The other thing you want to keep in mind is, let me see, do I know where that went? Because I saw it just a few minutes ago. I've been doing some cleaning, so I'm having trouble finding some things. All right, there's one. If you have a tool that you carry EDC, so for many years, this was my, if I'm not going to school, I'm going hiking in the woods, or I'm going on any kind of adventure, this was my chosen adventure knife. It is an Ontario K-bar style knife, by Ontario Knife. It is the smaller size one because it fits my hand easier. Normally, I do not like a rounded grip, but because of the oblong and the carving, it is much more lock-in than you would think. And the stacked leather discs, because this is all leather that's been patched and pressed to get that, is very, very stable. This was a knife I carried for a very long time. It actually saved my life once in a very unpleasant incident, and I've used it for bushcraft. It's a good knife. Now, having that means having something like this is a good idea. And this is one of the best things that Cold Steel did, is they made a line of trainers based on some of their most popular knives. They did get rid of the Perry Dagger trainer. They discontinued it. I'm not sure why. It sickens me because it's the best Perry Dagger fighting, offhand trainer on the market. I love them, and I actually was set up to buy about 20 of them, 10 or 20, so that I could, outfit enough people and then give a few away, and they stopped having them. But if you're carrying that, carry a trainer like this. This is the same logic where if you carry a firearm and you engage in certain kinds of like airsoft sports, having an airsoft version of the firearm that you carry real world, but obviously marked differently, that you could use to make sure that your body language, your sight acquisition, things like that is the same, just makes sense. Yes, knife makers, please make a trainer out of the CRKT minimalist line. There are no intentional sheath knife neck knife trainers on the market. I have begged, I have pleaded, I am still begging and pleading because so many people carry something like this as a low-cost EDC tool slash weapon of a last resort, that it would only make sense to carry them in a way that they could be trained. That's one of those that I'm all about. So you want to make sure that there are two. Okay, let me rewind. There are two real areas people get trained into, and I will hop through the chat to get caught up after I get through this arc. You're either chasing it because you love the aesthetic, the improbable, the history around a weapon. That's going to be things like great swords. That's going to be most of your fully armored combat. It's getting the skills to cross over to more mundane training and self-defense can be more challenging. But if you're going through practical, you can get things to cross back over. So you have to figure you have essentially 1 meter stick, 2 meter stick, short knife or stick, mace, mass weapon. What's the third one? Or long knife are basically all the weapons you need to know some system for some category, and literally just about every object that has a handle on it becomes a weapon. Now, my categories flip around a bit, but by learning how to make things go, you can then extrapolate in an emergency. So that is a very practical set of skills. Farcical, there are a lot of places I can't carry a long knife, but I can carry scissors, and the scissors could become very quickly, without breaking or anything, a stabbing knife. So if I have, training with a pair of scissors, especially the kind that separate, which these don't, or even, a stout pen, you have the same stuff you'd learn with a Kobutan, you could learn with that. You train with a short sword, something like this. Okay. Knowing how to do short sword strikes seems farcical. However, this mimics a machete. Depending the size of your hand and the size of the cooking knives you have access to, this may fit. So let me see if it's... That's why I made this. This is one of my own knife trainers. I affectionately called Knifey. This was made to be a trainer roughly around a generic kitchen knife. So it's a little short and it's extra rounded for some relative safety. But by understanding how this grip feels and fighting with something like this in a training situation, one, it's totally valid for most knife forms, but it's also a really good design for, okay, how many people have heard this? Well, if somebody busts in my house, I'm pulling a knife out of the butcher's block. And then what? Do you have any idea how to make it go other than it's short and put it in the other guy? Nothing wrong with that, but it's better if this is going to be something you default to, handling it. This is something, having an idea of how it moves, keeping edge alignment will make you more confident in a self-defense situation. Confidence and training gives competency. And that's what we're always working for, especially during the winter, because a lot of times you're going to have to do solo work. People can't come out and play as much. People are busier because of all the holidays. So you need to keep what you're training in mind. I love teaching people and saying, learn short staff, because most people have a broomstick or can pull a curtain rod out or something, and suddenly your arm, pool cue, stout broomstick, anything along those chunks of pipe, even a PVC pipe, which isn't at all perfect, is better. is better than nothing. And so this is the time of year where I really like to have people gear up towards the more practical training side of things. So that's why we look at what we do. Now, this, of course, is one of my favorite trainers. You guys have seen it many times. Basically, this is my infinite trainer. If I want to do two-handed sword techniques, if you do something like this, you can attach weights to the end. If you attach weights to the end and play with the point of balance, you can mimic a much larger weapon, but not beat the tar out of your ceiling. I like this length because it's very close to the length of a T-ball bat, a plunger, a cane, other things. So it really does help and start to coalesce your technique, because yes, I teach it's fun. I teach to build confidence, to build physical awareness, but it builds physical education, which is something that for safety reasons isn't taught like it should be. I believe people should have some basic measure of physical self-defense. And right now, the only way you can get that in a traditional educational setting is sorry, I just accidentally unsheathed something. I need to fix it. Is learning wrestling in school. That's the only way they will teach it. And I don't think that that's the best option. Now, why do I have this set up like this? Because I like to train from the draw. I don't have to, but I have the facility. And you can find pieces of PVC at, inexpensively, relatively. It's not like it used to be, but inexpensively at, your local hardware store. Or if they're doing a bunch of building at a house or whatever, and you see PVC, a lot of times they're throwing away the end pieces. You could just buy the end caps and save yourself some money. It's a good way to get your gear inexpensively. You can go right now, if you want a great trainer for very little money, what you do is you go down to Walmart. In their art supply section, you can get wooden dowels. You get yourself a wooden dowel. You stop down at the hardware section. They should have chair feet. Okay, the little things on the end of chairs. They usually come in roughly 3/4 of an inch. I like 3/4 of an inch. An inch isn't thick, but if you go an inch, I think you can find table feet. You can make a straight cane with two of those that's not going to ding up or scratch up anything too bad. Works as a cane and is a remarkable trainer. I have several. I have one over there that I'm looking at. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go off camera to go get it. So I think I will, because I want to really drive this point home. So it'll be just a second. I'm still here. I want to show you guys a couple examples of what I'm talking about. Now, yes, I need canes for my mobility. It happens. But if you go, again, to Walmart, you can get something like this. Now, this is a standard chair foot. I have used, because it's me, and it was provided by Cindy Kep, I have hippies, I lost the word tie-dye tap, duct tape, reinforcing. These are not going anywhere. Because of a joke, I did call this kindness, and it functions as a wonderful training tool. I have measured off a couple points, and I just took actually a pocket knife and a Sharpie and marked where I like, because look at this. This is my short sword, that comfort grip. You see that blade length keeps coming back to it because I could draw it comfortably. If I go and grab it by the rear and clip it here, I have about a 32-inch blade. I believe this is a 30-inch blade, and this is a 6-inch spread. So I can I can wield this and by feel, know where I am on the stick, go through my drills again, very, very inexpensively. The downside is if you try to spar with wood, it doesn't flex and it can splinter. That's why people use rattan. Now, if you take it to the next logical progression, you get something like this, which was a project that I was doing for my dear friend, Jesse. So I started this almost 20 years ago, and he died, and I didn't have the heart to finish it. So I may just put my boot on there and finish this up because you'd want it. But this is a full inch diameter. I have a copper piece like this, copper end cap that I got from probably Menards. Another one on the end. This is a crutch foot that's been wedged in here and there. And I did some carving with the Dremel tool, so I started. I really should finish it. Putting a, you can sort of see the feather that's carved in there. It's very nice. But this is geared for a two-handed grip. So this is geared for a nice wheeling two-handed style. So if I wanted to do greatsword, the nice thing is especially if I grab it at the far end and I have full, comfortable, a foot of grip, but I only have 20 inches of blade. So I can go through greatsword techniques indoors and be less likely to hit things. If I want to go through long staff techniques, I can still do that. I just don't have the protrusion. It lets me keep the forms going without the fear of beating things up. And, if anybody looks or says anything, this is clearly just a cane. It's a walking stick. It's ornamental. I really do need to finish it. I have some guilt around this, and now I'm thinking it's almost time. But if I use my the simple sword, your 9 guards, I will tell you something, by the way. If you take a stiff thing, like a blunt stick, and you thrust like you're stabbing somebody, you could do fantastic amounts of damage. Do not get caught. Will it be as easy to kill somebody as if it were a pointy stick? No. But remember, I had 5 of my ribs torn from my sternum because a fencing rapier with a blunted tip caught just right in a fluke and ripped them, cracking 3 of them. If that can happen, if you poke the snot out of somebody with serious intent defensively, you're going to have a lot of effect on them. The other thing is we can talk about how one uses a cane defensively, because I really, really am annoyed with the guys who are like, how to use a cane defensively. And you see they've got the cane with the sharp hook so that they can do all the nasty things. And it's like, that's great if you don't need a cane. What can you do if you have to use a cane? One very simple thing is get really good at bringing that down, like the cane equivalent of a Georgia stomp, on top of somebody's foot. That would be a very effective means of deterrent. People will really think about what they're doing if their foot isn't working. That's going to be what matters, and then you have a chance to probably hobble away. Remember when we are thinking defense, whenever I'm talking about weaponry or defense, your goal should always be buy enough time, incapacitate, divert enough to escape. I'm not trying to turn you into heroes. I'm not trying to turn you into policemen. I am trying to make sure you survive. Now, I'm going to go through the chat, and we're going to get into a lot. Pardon my, again, overall fluffiness. Oh, God. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. We're going to go. Evening, folks. Good evening, Foxy. Hope you're having a good one. How's everyone tonight? We're doing pretty well. Like I said, I am sick as a dog, but that's not enough to stop me from doing my stream. The only way I'd stop doing my stream is if it was stomach distress and I had to run every couple minutes to the bathroom. Then I'd have to, or, use a bucket. I'd up the top. I'd have to cancel for that. But as long as I'm not dreadfully ill, I'm going to try to do my streams. Evening, everyone. Thesis, I'm so proud of you. You're doing your shows. You're putting in the time. It sucks when you're first doing your shows because you're going to spend a lot of time just talking into the abyss. And it hurts and it sucks. But don't get discouraged. What you're doing matters. And remember, once it's up, it's always up. So there's always a chance where you'll find more people. Okay? Don't get discouraged. Happy Friday, Nick. Get well soon. Kisses and hugs. Kisses and hugs to you, Kat. I hope you are doing well. I am so pleased with the way your world's going. Let's see. Saw a knife that looks kind of like that. Forgot to send the picture to you. Give it a second. Let me see. Did I get a message from Johnny? Yes, you did. 24 minutes ago. Oh, yeah. Now, somebody hurt that person because they put that saw back on that D guard, but that's not terrible. And it's still mostly functional. I wouldn't try to use that saw for sawing. It's not terrible. And you actually could grip the blade by the guard upside down and use it as a sawback. It's not terrible. I don't know what 70 is in the amount of money, so I can't speak to the quality, but it's at least it looks more functional than a lot of things I see. It looks like it's got an acorn nut, but ultimately something like this is something you want to get inexpensively, and it's not bad. I mean, it's a decent length. It's not terrible. The sawback's a little rough, but I'd have to handle it to know if it's nightmarish or not. Popping in to take notes. Excellent, Alec. You're always welcome. Notes are good. Yep. Drop my like as well. Thank you. Please give me the likes. Wow, I'm learning a lot tonight. Well, Kat, that's what when the show is working right, a lot of what we do. We're either talking about, a real swordsman's perspective on fictionalized weaponry, or my view on training and adaptive training usually. Reminds me of more of Mongolian sabers from what I've seen on Amazon. Quite possible. And I'm back. Welcome back, Foxy. Was making thesis of grilled cheese. Grilled cheese are awesome. Okay, I'm hooked. I'm for sure he's putting the simple sword next in line for my bedtime story after I'm done with John Lydon's Angerous Energy. Okay, that's good company. Thank you. And sometimes the ceiling fan asks for it. Occasionally, it did ask for it at Nick's last RPG night. Oh, thank you. You've reminded me of something I want to talk about. Leave the poor ceiling alone. My ceiling fan has scuffs, black marks, gouges, and a few shallow cuts. My ceiling has a shoe print on it. Ours has sword cuts and a patch of silly string. Love that phrasing. Yep. When I want to practice indoors, I use one of Foxy's fans or my collapsible gin folded up, so I don't have to worry about Foxy beating me for marking up the ceiling more. Remember, I'm a short guy, so I can get away with more. But yeah, these guys. Oh, where's mine? Here it is. Okay. These guys are also wonderful if you're just getting started. I got mine for like $12. You can go through all your drills, and it usually comes with a little plastic piece that you can close it all the way up when it gets fully extended. I constantly lose mine, so a bottle cap works really well for like a twist off or anything to protect your hands so you don't accidentally cookie cutter press your hand on that. But they are really nice. The balance is not terrible, but you can go through your drills, your flow, and close it down. I would be hesitant to use one like this if you were going out into a park. I'd far rather have you invest in a wooden one. I have such a one downstairs that I got when I was in Chinatown in Chicago on a misadventure with my buddy Frank. But because then it's less threatening to the police. This is still, this would be good enough for a visual, for theater use. I wouldn't use it for impact, but they are nice. They are especially good if you are of the weak-handed variety and you don't have a lot of hand strength, not a lot of grip strength. I actually have a great trainer that I stumbled across if you want to spend the money. I was at the local public library where Alec was speaking, and they have one of those Oculus VR thingamajiggies. And I got to try Beat Saber with the things. Now, ultra lightweight, it's not perfect, but it is far more active than playing a standard push-button video game. And so there are other fighting systems where you can train. And again, it's not as good as sparring against real people, but is better than not. And it has more interactivity than sparring by yourself, especially if one could attach the sensor somehow to an actual trainer. I would love to see a system like that. It doesn't exist yet, but we'll see. It's a fascinating concept. Let's see. The last stream I did a book review and mentioned your books to people, if anyone watches, for things that a starting martial artist needs to have. Well, thank you. I appreciate the promotion dearly, and please don't misread any of my expressions or tones, because I'm trying to speak around being completely stuffed up. But I really appreciate it because I believe you will get caught and get going. I think there's going to be more and more interest and need for small producers, especially with this whole business with someone who I won't say his name, but has gone deep down the AI art is life rabbit hole. And that's something I can't stand for. And it shouldn't have been brought up on a sword show, but he did. However, if you're interested in that, PHA does have trainers based on his utterly ridiculous weapons. So that's there too. My ceiling has the tiles. We needed the extra height to store seeds. I can understand that. You want to know a surprisingly good training aid? A Connect and Fruit Ninja or equivalent? Yes. No, absolutely. Anything that gets you moving in controlled responses. A Wii is great. It gets you up. It gets you moving. These simple systems keep the joints moving, keep the flow going. And I really think that we need to seek those out as logical attachments to our digital entertainment. Or and that's more for our urban viewers. For our more rural viewers, that's what yard work is for. Not just recently, I had to go out and do a whole bunch of bush clearing and things, and I used a few manual tools because I'm not the biggest. Well, I'm not supposed to have the vibration, so I used, I don't even know what we call it. It's literally a weed whacker. It looks like a angled saw blade on a pole that's entirely too short, and you use it in a sweeping motion. That's going to build up the lower parries for your staff work all day, every day. Great stuff. I also occasionally had to break out what I call my lawn sword, which is a discontinued type of machete that Cold Steel put out. You know what? Hold on. It's out here too. 1 second. I'm still here. And I'm going to grab that while I'm right there too. That's okay, though. It's just a cane. This was the worst named, most wonderful machete ever made. This was referred to as the tactical katana machete. And it should have been called a messer, because if you look at the blade and the rigging, it's literally a messer. It is a big knife. The grip is a little wide, but it allows your fingers into this groove. So it's not as bad as you would think. And I have taken down small trees with this, done some limbing with it. Well, basically a lot of this is a work tool. However, if you do work with something like this, you will be in good shape. And yes, funny, a lot of my two-handed sword style training is suggestive of something like this. Isn't that just odd? Isn't it just odd that there's an overlap in the proportions that I use? It's almost like I practice what I preach. Now, I have a lovely one-handed machete bush sword that I've fallen in love with. It is not in here, and I'm not going to go get it, because anytime I move around too much, my balance gets a little whiffy due to the sinuses. But let me get back where I am, as I'm surrounded by a pile of weaponry. My Friday feels right. Let's see. Getting your partner angry enough works too. Just make sure you can dodge. Ironically, my wife and I have a whole bunch of little play padded lightsabers that were acquired of the semi-disposable variety, because Xander was good at the store, and I went, which one do you want? And he picked the one he wanted. It looked like Sting, and it had a blue blade. And then I started leaving. He said, but what about yours? And he pointed to the orange one. So I put it in the cart and started to leave. He said, no, what about Mom's, the green one? So that went in the cart. So we have these really cute little boffer swords that we're going to beat the tar out of each other with till they break. Still great fun, great practice. I've done little forms while destroying fruit, and it's good exercise. Plus, it's fun to watch. There was a game. I do not know the name of the game. I was at Dave & Buster's for a buddy's bachelor party. I went to the family-friendly side of things, and then they went off and did the unfamily-friendly things. Yeah. But for my part of it, I got to go to Dave & Buster's and Weber Grill in Chicago. Great adventure. But they had a game which was a huge touch screen, and you're sword fighting with the touch screen, and then you go up these stairs. And I did, it took me a bit to learn the dodge controls, but the sword work was quite simple. And I started messing with it, and I go die. They were trying to make it very Souls-ian difficulty. But once I got about 2 or 3 tries, I'm like, oh, okay, found my bar. And I'm just, I'd hobbled up with my cane because it was a bad leg day, and I'm just going. I didn't know I had a whole ring of people watching me just cut my way through the levels. Somewhere around, like, clearing 120 rooms of these little platforms. It was insane. I just went, oh, you know what? I got to go put my name on the high score, and turned, and there were literally somewhere between a dozen and 20 people watching me like, how do you know how to do that? I also enjoy doing what's called heavy metal Tai Chi, where I listen to brutal fast metal while doing slow forms. It forces you more to focus on your body. Yes, focus on your body that is doing than what your ears hear. Absolutely. That is beautiful, and that is a great control exercise. I applaud that, and I approve it. When you said heavy metal Tai Chi, I thought it was how I used to do my Sydney would call it mutated Tai Chi Destreza form, but I did it with the 4 foot long crowbar. I used to do my fencing forms with a crowbar. I don't know why my nerves are shot. I made poor choices in my youth, but I used to be impressive. Looks like one of those sword knives they cut fish with. But you know what? That's true too. What about Dusty's one? They gets to keep it in dual wield. If he had thought of that, I would have probably fallen for it. I'm a sucker. I love my son. But that's another aspect. If I make sure that my forms are serious, if I maintain the reasonable approach, I can have fun doing what I do. We used to do a lot of things at practices when more people were coming out. We would play games called War Ball, which was basically like football, but we had this. It's technically a dog toy, so it looks like a framework version of a soccer ball. And, it was, try to get it to score on the other side while sword fighting. And you could throw it, you could catch it with your gear. We had to take out tackles, though, because somebody took it way too far. And, but, it was fun. There's nothing that says that you can't have fun in training and learn practical skills at the same time. That, in fact, is how I believe is the best way to learn anything, is humans learn through play. We learn best through play. They say children learn best through play. That is from our industrialized BS. We learn best through play. We work best through play. That's why music helps so much with rhythm-based things and making the time pass when you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And people treat training, when you are learning the drills and you are refining, it takes focus. But once you get going, you get that, and of course it goes, goal! And imagine my Sifu's reaction when he came in before going class and saw me doing Tai Chi to avenge sevenfold. It was pretty funny, actually. I bet. Now, the opposite can be delightfully dangerous. Trelena and I's thou shalt not play white reflection whilst we fence rule. That needs to be broken again real soon. It makes for a great time, but you want to be able to work and move towards that. Whew. Sorry, guys. I need a drink. Just a moment. Sorry about that. I got animated and I did a bit more with my voice and just what I'm saying than maybe I was health-wise ready to do. So I got myself just a little tapped. So I got to be careful. I want to wrap up. We only have 10 more minutes in the stream. But I want you guys to figure out what your low-cost, relatively safe trainers are. Pick one. Don't flit around. Pick one simple trainer or one system and go with it. Because if you pick that trainer and you stick with it, you spend the next couple months while everybody else isn't really thinking about it, doing your drills, it will help you maintain and it will help you build up quietly. Because what's going to happen is in the next 2.5 months, most people are going to let themselves go, at least in America, health-wise and diet-wise and a lot of things, because it's the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, big food holiday, big food time, weather gets cold, time for the delicious desserts. That's fine. People all, I think it's natural for humans to put on weight when the winter comes. I'm sorry, Johnny. I know you think winter is a hoax, but we'll deal with that another time. And Johnny says, I won't hunt you down and drain your blood if you have to call it a night. I do appreciate it. Take your time. I appreciate that too. I may wind up a couple minutes early because I want to give you guys a good program, but it's kicking my butt today. I'm still, after I do this show, I'm going to go out of the living room. I'm probably not going to go through the full set of 20, but I've been doing a maintenance. I'm tweaking my drills, and I want to make sure everything is how I want it before I do the demo on this. But I've been basically modifying the original 9 guards in a format that I can do simultaneously with both hands because it's working and stretching my upper back and the space between my shoulder blades. Because I found out through some of my studies that there are certain physiological aspects attached to ADHD, which I have. And one of them is an improper development of that muscle, which is why so many people with ADHD have a distinct stoop as they age. I do not want to end up one of those bent over old people. So I'm working to build the muscle that keeps my shoulders back where it should be, where it can hold me upright. And that's part of an addendum, and I will show it to you because it's still a valid drill. But I got this from my wife's physical therapy. I don't know if I can get the right angle to show you. But basically, you take whatever weapon you're training with. Your elbow is pinned to your side, and you're comparing from the center line out. Now, if I have 2 such tools, these are relative same length. I have to put a heavier one in my left hand because my right hand is weaker. So I just accept that. But by pivoting out, you're working a bit of the upper chest area with a very light weight. You're keeping your horizontal guards. So really, this is a very natural motion. You're parrying to the outside line with both your hands. You're keeping, it looks like I'm leaning forward. I'm not. It's just the way that my shoulders are moving. I'll do it to the side. But by doing this, it's working the area between my shoulder blades, and it's both opening and closing my front and opening and closing my back, and it forces me into a better posture. So this is giving me a very natural, for defensive, this is the same motion I go to parry a sword out, follow through, and smack behind it. Or parry out to make an opening to come back down. This is a really simple exercise that you can do with 1 or 2 of any reasonable length sticks to make sure that your grip is right. And I do 20 of those at about half at the beginning of my my drills. Then I go through 8 of the guards, because 9 is just an extended fourth, simultaneously. So first, I can kind of show it to you. I'll give you guys a better view later. I just need the right. Okay, I'm trying to fit it here. First, we're going to go through that. Starting into third, rotate into second, like this, because you're catching, moving to the outside, and closing. Third is just a standard strike. Fourth, but you have to keep your angles right, which is where it gets difficult, so that when you're facing somebody, the blade is deflected off your actual edge line or into the guard and not into you. So if I do fourth and I stop here, I'm still getting stabbed because it can still hit. You need to follow through. So fourth, and I do 20 of those. Double fifth, double sixth, which is hard to see, double seventh, double eighth. And I go through this flow that I spend, and I just sit, and I do 20 each way with the heavier weapons to out both my arms to build up the arm shoulder strength. And I'm doing it when I'm tired, so it does the most effect. I do that every night before I go to bed. I can't sleep to do that. Absolutely. I could very easily add a resistance pad. Now, I am not a physical trainer. This is just stuff that I do, so you have to be careful, but you could easily loop one between here and use that to stretch out to get more resistance. Because I am so physically weakened by the atrophy from the when my nerves broke down on me and I had to build back up with the sponge all the way back up, I lost a lot of the overall arm and core strength because I couldn't move. So a lot of my muscles atrophied. So what's happening is I'm, instead of building core out, I'm having to build into the core to be in a position where I can do things like get up off the floor relatively comfortably, to do sit-ups, modified sit-ups. I still can't do push-ups, but that level of adapting is what I do, and I'm constantly tweaking it and adjusting it. When I have it, the next level, I'll shoot another video very similar to my first video, but with more narration on this, because what it does is by doing the 2 shots at the same time, it allows me to double the physical aspect. Now, it is different when you are training for accuracy, because when I'm training more for accuracy, I'm going to focus more one-handed, and then with either a swinging target like the tennis balls that are used to stop cars, or the padded target like I built in a much earlier video where I went, this is a $400 target, let's make one out of garbage. And I could revisit some of that stuff as the season approaches, but they help. Let's see. I've used resistance bands to keep my strength up during the winter so I can still draw my bow in the spring. I am very pleased to express that I am at the point where I could draw some of my medium weight bows for me. Sit and anchor them and reset them. And I've been using... Sorry, it looks like my internet's starting to get glitchy too, so the weather outside must be kicking up. Okay, Kat shared this picture of this beautiful knife that her husband found. Well, I'm not quite sure but that is beautiful. And I will be getting to bed. We are at 9 o'clock, and I've got my hour in. But So yeah, I'm starting to get that back. I would love to probably in the spring do some I mean, we're talking I couldn't when this started, I couldn't draw the child's bows that I had that are like 8 pounds. My weight limit is still one-handed, basically a gallon of milk or a gallon of water is about my comfortable max one-handed. Two, I could do more, and if I could do shady things with my grip and not involve my fingers, it gets better. But my net is getting destabilized. I've cracked the hour. Be sure to look into it. And Johnny, if you have a trainer, talk to your trainer. See if that can help. Any advice you have, please pass on. Because I'm an American, things are so litigious. I have to remind folks, I am not a licensed therapeutic trainer or anything like that. These are just techniques that I am using. Please consult a real medical professional first before you do anything physical, any of exercise, any martial arts program. Talk to a medical professional first. But with that, guys, I am going to sign off. So do your drills, keep your eyes open, be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, thank you guys for supporting your local Swordmaster. I will be back at least Friday for more. We will have some other things going down the pipe, weather and physicality permitting. But thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next week for another Historical Fencing Guild live stream. I love you guys, and so should you.